Hey everyone, we've made it. Sorry, we're running both a little bit late and perfectly on time this morning. We are the Big Four of Late War. Hopefully you've been following us on Instagram and on the Big Four website and on the Flames of War website. I'm Chris. I'm the studio manager and administrator for the design team here in New Zealand. I am working on British as part of my Late War force. The rest of the guys will introduce themselves and say hello.
Casey?
Yep. Well, hi, I'm Casey. I'm one of the graphic designers. Everyone knows I'm a bit of a Soviet-phile. And at the moment, I've just started building some IS-2.
Right, I'm Victor. I do graphic design at Battlefront, like Casey, and I'm the American guy. How about you, Wayne?
Wayne, I'm one of the writers at Battlefront, and I'm doing gyms.
Nice. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on the chat while we work, but I'm going to try paint as well. I'm specifically working on crew for my Jeeps and M8s for Cavalry Recon Troop. But yeah, it's good to have you all with us. I see we've already got a few in there. I'm trying to guess who. I think I know who a few of them are just by nicknames. What about, do you know, Chris?
No. I see Mr. Joe Lewis there from Battle Rankings. Hey, Joe. King Dan. That's an old friend of ours, Daniel Linder.
Yep.
Dark Vapius. I know that name too, Mr. Potter.
Yep. Cool. Well, yeah. This is a first for us, so we're sort of figuring it out. But yeah, I'm just going to sit, hang out, chat.
Hopefully we can answer a few of your questions while we're going, and hopefully you'll enjoy our witty while we hobby chat. No one's ever accused us of being that witty, but we'll give it a go.
No.
So,
cringy, perhaps.
Cringy's good. I'm going to kick it off. Casey, why are you painting IS-2s?
Because IS-2s are awesome. Enough said.
But they're not out yet, Casey, so how can you be painting them?
Well, they've been out since the last edition. And I really want to paint...
The model, you mean?
Yeah, the model, yeah. But, and when they came out, I got a box for 4 of them. Always intending to paint a big army. But I just never got around to it, so it's a good opportunity to actually finally get around to do them.
Yep.
And you need something more than just T-34s in an army.
So what you're saying is, no spoilers, but they're going to be really good in this book. Is that what you were saying, Casey?
I think they're legit. They are legit.
Chris was looking for the company plug. Go buy the next Soviet Bagration book.
Go buy the next Soviet Bagration book, even if only for IS-2s.
Yeah. I would do that, but with everything that's happening at the moment with COVID-19, we're not quite sure when it's going to come out. So
yeah,
it's
hopefully soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm really excited about the Soviet book.
Yep.
And that's not just because I'm a Soviet player.
Fair enough.
It's, like I said, something I want to do for a while, but they were kind of all like the borderline in the last edition. Now they're not.
So I just have to segue for a little second. I've been watching Wayne on my screen. Put the optivisor on, take the optivisor off, put the optivisor on, jiggle it about. Oh, what?
I was because it's got a little screw thing on the back to fit your head. For some reason, it was too small. I don't know, my head grew overnight or something. So it was.
Oh yeah, that's normal.
We've all been eating too many carbs on lockdown, and Wayne's head's got a little bit bigger.
I definitely got fatter and not doing anything.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good at all, actually.
So what are you painting on there? What are you working on there, Chris?
Me? So I'm building some Cromwells. So I've actually already bought some, which I haven't shown off if you watch Big Four. In fact, that's why I could wave a painted one up in front. So I painted 4 Cromwells on the sly. We needed them for book photography. All of the Cromwells that we have in the studio are actually painted with Desert Rats decals. And what's it called? Reconnaissance Squadron is 11th Armoured. So the two options were have Victor and Casey Photoshop every decal out of the photos, which sounded a little mean, or I could just paint some, and that gave me a good chance to test out the colours and all that sort of stuff. So I have 4 of my, here's my list, 4 of my 4 of my 16 painted. So I'm currently starting to assemble the rest of my 16. That'll give me a full squadron, and then I've got some fireflies here, which I will assemble. I already have fireflies assembled, obviously, for my Sherman company, but I thought I'd assemble some more fireflies so I can technically have a full-strength Cromwell company and a full-strength Sherman company. So yeah, that's my plan for the morning.
Are we going to make you put them all on the table at the same time?
I'm good with that. Let's.
Well, I think 2 of us would need to team up to face it currently.
Yeah.
We don't have enough.
Given that I have less than 100 points painted so far for late war.
Yep.
Chris, did you work out how many points you've got so far?
I did do a quick calculation just before we shut down. I think it's well over 200 points now, because I have all my Churchills painted. So I've got HQ, 2 platoons of Churchills, the 2 aviaries, the crocodiles, a full-strength Sherman company with fireflies, Universal Carriers, Crusader AA, which are waiting on us to get back to work so we can take some photos of and put up on the Big 4 blog. Yeah, so that's everything I've got painted at the moment, so it adds up pretty fast. I think.
We've got in here, Lundlud asks, any idea how to revive a clumpy enamel product? It's not something I've worked with before. What do you guys have? Wayne, you might have used enamels.
I would only thought, because most enamels have their own thinner, which is some sort of variation of turpentine.
Yeah.
I would assume, I'd assume whatever the product's brand is, just look at the thinner, and if you can't get a thinner for it, try some mineral turpentine.
Because we're talking like Humbrol paints and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tessers make a bunch of enamels as well.
Right.
I've tried reviving some enamel paints before, and my revival method was throwing it in the bin and getting it. Unfortunately.
Well, I haven't used enamel paint since I was about 14.
Yeah.
I got sick of the smell.
People can guess how long ago that was.
Yeah, I got sick of the smell, and I went. Luckily, there was a little model shop in the town I lived in. That was actually a model railway shop, but they had a bunch of poly-S acrylic paints, so that's how I got into acrylic paints, using poly-S ones. And then later I bought Games Workshop ones. And,
yeah, poly-S in New Zealand became the first sort of widely available one from memory.
Yeah, because for the predecessor to Battlefront, it used to be called Military Miniatures. I think they stocked it for a while. Then they stocked their own paints. I think they had a contact with someone at Resines, which is a paint manufacturing company in New Zealand, does like house paints and stuff. And they made a little like range paints, I think.
Yeah. Somebody was asking, saying, "Are we all working from home or painting from home?" Yeah, we are. You can tell by my dirty cave of a garage that I'm working in.
Yep. Bookshelf,
no
window outside.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I had to actually tidy this space in preparation for this. This is this is the office space in the house. So yeah. Yeah, and we're all working from home. New Zealand is currently we're currently at what they're calling level 4, which means you can basically go out to go to the supermarket, and if you're an essential worker, you can go and do your work. In about a week, we're going to drop to level 3. We're going to be there for at least 2 weeks. Level 3 means that if you can work from home, you should keep working from home. And if you can't work from home, you're potentially allowed to go into work, but businesses have to follow certain rules. So yeah, at the moment, we're all working from home. Although I'm planning on taking a few days off starting next week, because I've got kids I've got to look after, and I'm hoping to squeeze in a bit more hobby time and actually get some stuff painted, because I'm feeling a little envious. I sit there every day and I start up the Facebook pages about share your hobby, and I look at everyone's work, and I think, I hate you all because you're painting lovely models and I'm not.
Yeah, well, I'm doing the same, so I'll be doing some painting as well.
Yep.
Wayne, Dirk Sells asks, Well, he's just saying he would be happy with Romanians, any Romanian. Do you want to let him know what the state of Romanians are?
Yeah, Romanians. So you've probably heard the news that we've got a little Finnish mid-war booklet coming out. After that, there's a Hungarian one, and then a Romanian one. And then also will be, as part of the Bagration series, which, as Chris showed the Soviet book earlier, the next thing after that is a German book, and then after that will be an Axis Allies book, which will have Hungarians, Romanians, and Finns in it. So yeah, so it's covered.
Yep. Yeah, we're all hoping for them. We're all looking forward to that.
My mid-war Romanian army hasn't seen a tabletop in, I don't know, maybe 10 years. So I'm quite excited.
Yeah.
Chris literally has all of the armies.
No, I don't. I used to have a lot. I sort of culled back, and then I was just thinking about this last night. Version 4 and Team Yankee really energized me. It got me like really back focused on the game. I think Team Yankee helped because I've always liked modern wargaming, and the models are just so cool. So that made me build an American army, and then of course, what came out? Was it Leopard 2 that came out next, or the British? I can't actually remember. Sorry,
British was so Team Yankee came out with basic Soviet and American forces originally.
Yep.
And then the first actual book was Iron Maiden.
Yeah. So I've got a British army that's part assembled. Then Leopard came out so fast after that. I've got a German army that's at least built and airbrushed, and it just got me back into the habit of going out to the garage and painting. So yeah, I've been doing more painting over the last 3 years than the previous 10 combined, I'd say.
Yeah, you really need to do some more work and finish your Berlin Brigade. Start your Berlin Brigade.
I know.
Well, you could have just been like Victor and painted one tank and been satisfied.
That's enough. I proved I could do it, but I don't want to do it many more times.
Yeah, I'd like to.
Schwerpanzer Jaeger wants to talk about T-80s.
T-80s? I don't remember them in 44. But... No, go on. T-80s are awesome.
Yeah, these look awesome.
I was going to say, how many people in this chat are planning on building Soviet forces? Raise your hand.
I've already got one.
Soviet Team Yankee forces.
Yeah.
Adding some T-80s to it, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I've already
I resisted adding T-64s, but Casey's got a T-64.
Yeah, I've got a T-64 battalion, which I'll be adding some T-80s to. The MP3s, they're pretty legit as well.
I know we're not talking about the T-80 now, just slightly segueing onto the BMP3. I'm in love with that. I think the BMP2 looks cooler, but I love for that extra point getting... and I've forgotten the rule again. Wayne, what is it? Brutal?
Brutal.
Yeah, getting brutal on the 100 mil gun.
Yeah.
So you've got missiles to take care of tanks, you've got a cannon to take care of light vehicles, and you've got a brutal gun to take care of British Milan teams.
I think I'm pretty sure it's a missile that can shoot on the move as well.
Ah, that's pretty cool.
For the T-80, yes. Yeah.
Yep.
No, for the BMP3.
Oh, BMP3, yes.
So Dark Horse 659 just said, I only have 70 Soviet tanks for Team Yankee. We'll need T-80s.
Yes, you will.
That's an excessively large number, but I applaud you.
Yeah.
Well,
how many T-55s you got, Chris?
Well, it kind of depends. My Czechs currently have only 16 painted. I've got another 16 to paint. And my Syrians have about 11 normal T-55s, so not AM2s painted. And I need to paint another 10 for them. So, yeah. Has Victor come out, or is it just me?
No?
My bad, I muted. I wanted to cough before. Mighty Nobler, which is a cool name, asks, are there any plans to release the mid-war flexible plastic infantry in the new plastic, the thermoplastic?
Oh, yep. I would expect so. That's kind of a wishy-washy answer, and I'm sorry. We've got stock in our factory of the flexible plastic, but once that runs out, I would expect that you will see it change over, but it's not going to happen anytime soon.
Someone's asked if it's me who does the camo Shermans. Yep, that's me. Thanks for the... And they say they look nice. Thanks. I'm quite pleased with them, and it's really quick. I do the camo with GW's Null Oil and 2 coats, so it's... Yeah, don't have to crack out the airbrush for the camo. It's nice and quick.
Yeah, you definitely got a much faster
Yes.
method for painting than I do.
Yep. Yeah, Casey's taken the extreme route, but it's definitely worth the time. But at the same time, Chris is managing to get so many points painted that we're struggling to keep up.
Well, it's quite interesting.
go in
We're all taking 4 very different routes, and there's all,
Yeah.
we've got different reasons for what we're doing, and yeah, I mean, at the end, everything looks good, but yeah, this project means different things to different people, which I quite like.
Yeah, I mean, I've already painted a lot of Soviets before, so I figured this was an opportunity to, go the opposite of the Soviet mantra and actually do some quality over quantity for a change.
Well, let's be honest, I had to twist your arm here. So here's a little spoiler that no one knows. You may not be interested, but I'll tell you anyway. So when ringleader Victor suggested the whole project, and maybe he can explain why at some point, we all sort of sat round and Victor said, well, I'm taking the Americans. It was my idea and I want to paint an American force. So I thought, yeah, that's legit. So then Casey and I looked at each other and said, I wonder what Wayne wants to do. Let's find out. From memory, your preference, you were kind of interested in
My
British?
preference was not Soviets.
Because how many Soviets have you painted over the years, Wayne?
Massive amounts. all old metal and resin models. So it would have been quite cool to paint the new plastic stuff, but yeah.
Yep. So
I'd only just like a couple of years before done that Hero Strelkovy,
that's right.
all the bits for that.
So that meant Wayne grabbed the Germans, and Casey and I looked at each other. Now, we've both painted Soviets. Casey's painted more than I have, but I painted 21 T-34s a few years ago when we came out with plastic tracks for them. I painted the army over sort of 4 weeks, and since then I've painted a few other things. So I wasn't that keen on the Soviets, and neither was Casey. So I agreed to take one for the team, mainly because chatting with Victor, we started coming up with a cunning plan to do a winter wash scheme. So like thinking a winter wash hero force would be fun, be very different, wouldn't be like anything I've painted recently, and would be good on the table. I built a few lists, and then I was having a chat with the guys, and Casey heard my list, and he thought, I quite like that list. It's not as good as a list that I would make, but it's still a good list. Next thing I know, he said, yeah, I think I'd like to do the Soviets, not the British. And I sat there going, great, I really wanted to do the British, mainly because I've failed in the past to paint a British army that I'm happy with.
Yeah, I got a half-painted British Army, like a 50th Division one,
Yep.
in a box. I was looking at the other day thinking, yeah, I should add some stuff. I need to paint a 3rd Infantry platoon, and there's all sorts of bits and pieces to add to it. Yeah.
So what you're saying, Chris, is if a list looks good and cheesy enough, Casey will paint.
That is exactly what I'm saying.
I mean, there's also the added challenge of actually going for a winter. I mean, it's more when you started talking about doing a winter scheme, because I've tried winter armies in the past, and I've never been happy with them.
Yeah.
I figured a small condensed army of that would actually be quite cool. And I'm glad I did it now, because I'm actually really happy with the results.
Yeah, to be fair to you, as much as I want to give you some stick about it, your army is infinitely better than what mine would have been. So, I mean, for the people that are watching us, no more 24-hour challenges, King Dan. For the people that are watching us, you're getting to see a much nicer looking army with Casey painting it than with me painting it. So it's a win for everyone.
I wouldn't poo-poo the 24-hour challenge, so quick, good think about that.
I think
Well,
the last 24-hour challenge, I painted one tank.
that's good. That's something.
One we did over at Flames Con, and I got the end of painting my LRDG crew. I was so annoyed with the paint job that I put them in a small tin container and shook them all. They're still sitting in a tin container. I haven't actually finished that army.
Bit of classic Wayne. I just remember the last 24-hour challenge. I think it was the last one we did because I woke up with ketchup on my head.
Oh, that was
Yep.
one.
That was the first one. Yeah,
That's
Yep.
what happens when you fall asleep surrounded by this lot.
yeah. First rule of 24-hour painting challenge is don't fall asleep.
Yeah.
Casey Schwerpanzerjäger wants to know if there's SU-100s in the new Soviet book.
Yes.
There definitely is. You don't need
there
to.
is. Sorry, I just had to think. I'm currently working on the World War III Soviet book, so I've done the World War II one. So it's switching codes mid conversation kind of wrecks all of us sometimes.
Well, another thing you worked on, the T-34 box. Someone's just saying they're not going to be able to resist. Talk about why we did the 21 T-34s in a single box. I mean, the reason's obvious because everyone should have 21 T-34s. But
yeah, you always need lots of T-34s. I mean, we're throwing up a few options of having some of the army boxes having some T-34s or something else in it. Chris will tell you about how interesting the army boxes are to come up with. We just thought, well, you always need more T-34s. So, and we've come around to having really good value army deals. So we figured, why not just give you 21? You always need.
Yeah, because the pricing on the army deals is now so good, and Soviets especially, one of the barriers is for a lot of players has always been cost, because it's a large army, therefore it's a more expensive army. Plastics helps because plastics are just cheaper than the resin and metal models, and then obviously putting 21 in a box and putting a good price on it makes it even cheaper. So it's kind of a win-win. We'd like to see more people fielding T-34s because we think they're cool.
well, do you want to talk about some of the T-34 options in the book compared to what they've had in FE? Chris or Casey, whoever knows the most.
I was going to let Casey cover that.
Well, there are 4 T-34 lists in the book. First up, you've got your regular T-34 76 Battalion from FE, but with some more options added to their formation. You've got the Hero T-34s, same story from FE with some more options added into their formations, and then you've got 2 new formations which are all T-34-85s. So you can have Hero T-34-85 and a regular T-34-85 list. Obviously, you get more. You can take more T-34s in the regular, and I think you can take up to 13 in the Heroes. I'm just going for the Heroes because that means I only have to paint 13, and I get more options for toys to add, like IS-2s and SU-85s.
Yep. No, I think T-34s will definitely be hitting the table again. I'll be bringing back my old army, adding some captured Panthers.
Was your Victor,
you go on, Wayne.
Was your T-34s? Were they were all plastic ones, weren't they?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, because I've got 4 I painted about the same time as you painted. You started painting that, but my 4 are plastic and resin. So.
Yeah, the kit was still fairly new when I worked on that army. I think. Can't remember the year.
This is the first time I've actually painted all plastic T-34s, and they've been out for a while. But they did paint 21 of the old metal and resin T-34-85s.
Yeah, I got a box full of T-34-76s that are all metal and resin, so they don't even have plastic parts. They're all Yeah, heavy.
Obviously,
Grandpa
Obviously.
Wayne showing his age there.
yeah, obviously I need to catch up because Schwer Fantasy Jaeger has 43 T-34s ready to go. I think you might need some more.
It's one too many. 42 is a good number.
Yes, 13th Company, you need more.
29? Yeah, a couple more would be good. Someone's curious what's lurking in the German Bagration book. When will we know more there? Well, Chris, on release day, I mean, that's up in the air at the moment. We don't.
Yeah,
But-
so because we've got, I am going a little bit from memory here. So we're right in the middle of the D-Day British releases. So after the D-Day British releases is going to be the World War III Americans. So then you've got,
Yep.
let's see, what are we now? Call it early March. Let's assume the world's fixed later in this month and we finish off doing the British. That would potentially mean June for the Americans. Then we've got the SS to conclude the D-Day series after that. So you're talking, July. Soviets come next. We're sort of talking August, September. It's towards the end of the year. Sorry, that's the only problem. Is this? We're currently holding off on finalising an updated release schedule because we're really waiting on everyone to sort of come back to work. The hobby stores, the factory. We're just kind of in limbo at the moment, which.
Yeah. Because our problem is not so much us here in New Zealand, it's what the other offices and the retailers can do at the moment, who can open, that sort of thing.
Yeah, if our retailers aren't open to sell stuff, then unfortunately there's no point releasing stuff. It's a bit unfortunate. I mean, luckily I think a few people have already mentioned the daily deals. At least that's giving people an opportunity to pick up some models that maybe that they didn't get around to picking up in the past, or making a deal too good to miss out on. So hopefully that's going to tick everyone's hobby box for the next
And
little while.
funny enough, recently there were some T-34s there.
Yes, yeah, there were. So yeah.
In terms of what's in the Bagration book, though, I think you and Pete talked a bit about it in your stream.
Yeah.
There was, I think one of the cool things would be the plastic Panzer 470s.
Oh, for the Germans, yeah, the Panzer 470s I think are going to be good. I know they're going to be good. Hetzers.
Yeah, and Hetzers. Yep.
What else? I'm trying to think what else we've got in there. In terms of
I've got a coffee here somewhere.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that one hasn't actually gone to the printers yet.
I don't think Victor and I really started it yet either.
No,
Not yet.
No. Let's see. Halo fan 2222. I'm going to assume you're a fan of Halo the game and not Halo jumps. Will Early War make its back into the official tournament scene? Geez, I hope so. I've got one of the armies I'm most proud of, although it hasn't aged well painting wise, is my Early War French. I really want to, like every army I have, I'd really like to finish it. I've got a bunch of Lorraine carriers that I'd like to paint up for it, and some Samois and some Charbis. So I'd really like I'd really like to finish that army. So I do hope that it comes back, and I don't see why it wouldn't make a strong return once we get the updated V4 books out for those.
You've got a weird thing for French tanks, don't you? Because you've got another 120 vehicles in your booty stood company.
It's not 120. It's only 50, I think. Although
that'd be a heavy box.
I know. I was actually just thinking, it's sitting on a shelf, and it's one of those boxes where you pick it up and the bottom goes like this. So I'll be doing my best once we get to Early War to champion for some Early War plastic stuff for the French. I'd be quite happy to rebuild that army just to have it in plastic and not be so heavy.
Yeah. Grenadier Games. Yeah, too early to read. Plastic Panzer 470, what version? That's the V, right? The squat one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
the
good-looking one.
The good-looking one. Yep.
There's always
And-
debate as to which is the good-looking one and which isn't. So
It's not the
Ideally, it'd be cool to do both, but you have to pick one. And
Yeah.
I think it's the more common one.
Yeah. And Blitzkrieg 1497, sorry to be persistent, but is there plans to bring Sturm Tigers, T-27 Rocket Arty, and Land Mattress back over the next books?
is the T-27 a
like-
Calliope?
I think so, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would assume that they'd feature in anything sort of bulge, Rocket Garden-y, that
Yeah.
because our next phase of books after Normandy for the Western Front is kind of bulge and Market Garden sort of
Yeah.
thing. So, yeah, I would shoot because the Storm Tigers they featured there, and I would think that things like the T-27 would be Calliope would be amongst it.
I'll be advocating for the land mattress because
Yeah,
I remember
land
them being
mattress.
good in version 3, and that would give me rockets for my British, so I'm good with that.
And
Yeah.
you can be pretty sure that if you guys want something, that there's at least one or two people in the studio who probably also want it and are already championing it.
Yeah.
Yep. Luxray Logan asks, why did we start doing smaller books than the bigger books in V3? Some people love bigger books, some people love the smaller books. It's really mixed, but for us, it was about getting lists out quicker, I would say.
Yeah.
Also,
It's perceived easier for newer gamers. You got less to flip through, more focused books.
Yeah, I mean, even me as a very experienced Flames War gamer, even I got daunted sometimes by going through some of the larger compilation books. There was just too much choice, and I think the smaller books just help narrow it down and focus.
the key thing there is also to remember that they are compilations. That's not how the books were published. The only books that were published as compilations initially were the early war, things like Blitzkrieg, etc., and also the basically they were the only ones that came out as compilations to start with. Everything else came out as smaller books. So Market Garden had one or two smaller books.
Had 2.
The Bulge had a
3?
had a series of 3, I think.
Yeah.
Normandy had a massive number.
I remember playtesting through Normandy. That was a long playtest cycle.
Yeah.
That was 7 books?
I mean, and then they got put into compilations basically later. So it was kind of a decision rather than to reprint the old editions, rather we'll put them together and actually add some more content to the book, to make it more interesting, and then do them as a compilation. So yeah, it's like as you see, we're like because we got to V3, end of V3, and we did think about doing like end of war compilations, but because V4 came along, we decided we kind of reset and we did V4. So that's why we never had a Berlin or Germany compilation series, even though we had a series, about 3 or 4 books that could have gone into those. Yeah.
Someone's asking, is there any chance to have the Bulge book by May 2021? Like with all the release dates, a bit up in the air at the moment, but I would love that.
June was the intended date for it, wasn't it, Casey? I can't remember the late war journey off the top of my head.
Yeah, because it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be. This year was going to be from June, July this year. It was going to be the Eastern Front year. So that's where there's going to be Eastern Front Soviet, Bagration Soviets, Bagration Germans, and the Axis Allies. Then next June it was going to be back to the Western Front again.
Yeah.
The Market Garden lists and Bulge lists. I know Victor's hanging out for some more America.
Yeah, well, the Easy 8's my favourite tank, I would say. Either that or the Panzer III, I can't decide. But yeah, certainly be looking forward to them.
You could have the Panzer III as your favourite mid-war tank. And the Easy 8 is your favourite Lakewood team.
Yeah. We'll go with that.
Yeah, there's no actual workers to be started on any of the Bowls books, so we can't even give you any tidbits.
No.
Other than they're going to be awesome.
I would say most of what people expect will be in there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a safe assumption.
Yeah.
I've had that moment where I've glued a piece onto the tank and noticed that I didn't actually trim off all the feeds.
Did you lightly glue it?
No. No, it is on there for good.
So what are you painting there at the moment, Wayne?
Some Stugs. They've been sitting on my desk for a while, and I thought I'll get them done. So this is like one I got a platoon I did earlier. See that? So that's one of the completed ones. So I'm now bringing these ones even up to the same standard. The thing is, these ones I've assembled differently. So this one's like a kind of early production, mid production Stug G. And this one's a later one, which has got it's got a remote control machine gun on it. So yeah. Normally it's a bit weird, that one, because normally I paint them without the side skirts on. So that's how I normally paint them. This makes it a lot easier to paint the tracks and stuff. This one was one that was pre-assembled that I found on my desk that I think previously belonged to James, that he did for an old Colours of War painting guide. It had a different paint on it and that. So it was a pre-assembled tank, so I thought, oh well, I'll just recycle it rather than glue another one together. So yeah.
Speaking of which, though,
Hard to paint the road wheels and stuff with the side skirts on.
Speaking of which, though, here's a contentious discussion point.
Oh god, I know what this is.
Painting tracks on or off? Go, Chris.
Off.
But,
Explain why.
Explain why? Okay, so here's a hull that I've assembled earlier. I like to airbrush my hull, and I don't have to worry about any overspray. I like to have my tank track black, it's primer colour, and then I'm not a good airbrusher, but I'm a good enough airbrusher that I can just fire the green, bang, 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 and largely not get it over the rubber on the wheels. So it means that I only have to do a really tiny amount of painting, and painting tracks is one of the two things I hate the most. So anything that I can do to make it easier is a win.
What's the other one?
They have 2 legs and 2 arms and a gun. I'm not good at painting dudes. It's just,
My favourite. I like painting infantry.
I know. I think you're weird. No, it's just I'm certainly the weakest painter out of the 4 of us, and my infantry, I can get tanks to look reasonable. I can't get infantry to match the standards of my peers, so I think that's one of the reasons I hate them. Yeah, faces and bases, but so they're never my preference. But yeah, tracks off all the time, every time.
It's actually something that I picked up from Chris. It's a useful hint I got from Chris, and you can write that one down. It's to leave them off, because I do the same.
We haven't got the whiteboard.
Yeah, because I do the same. I base coat them all green, then I go and just do a directional airbrush, hit all the tracks with a brown, give them a wash, job done.
Yep.
Victor thinks we're all mad.
Yep, I just have like having one, or if it's so an M12 was one piece, but a tank with a turret, just 2 things to paint. You got to keep track. You're going to lose your tracks. You got all these spare parts. I like to assemble the model. Assembly's done, and then paint. And I like someone's comment here. There's no need to waste paint that no one's ever going to. So, you're painting your tracks and under side skirts and stuff. Yeah, I figure if it's assembled and you can hit it with a brush, you can see it. Anything that's hidden, you can't get to with a brush, then you don't need to paint.
But I'll know it's not painted. And actually,
that's true.
Actually, to be fair, I think when I painted a batch of tracks, I painted 13, 18 tracks. I lost one and had to go back and do it up. But it was worth the sacrifice.
That's why
I used it.
I keep a Project Bits box. So I have one of my old clams, and this has all of the, because I've cleaned up a few more Cromwells already. This has my hatches, it has my bow machine guns, it has stuff like that. Once I clip off the tracks, all the tracks will just go in there to be kept safe until I'm ready to work on them. And then they'll all end up being worked on start to finish in one go. So I shouldn't lose them.
Drawer, so that's like a Soviet work in progress drawer.
Yep.
So it's similar.
I will concede I leave 50 cals off to the end because when I go really heavy with the dry brush, I've flung a few off in the past. I do break my own rule and do some assembly.
Yeah. I also
Someone
find
says, "Oh, go on,
I
Chris."
also find some things. It's funny. It's in my box. It's actually in the wrong box, so that's how I lose it. I painted my machine guns for my T-55s on the sprue, and it was just easier to paint on the sprue. Gave you a bigger thing to hold, and so those must be some spare ones that are going to go on some Danas at some point.
Yeah, I do the same thing with my tank commanders. Paint them on sprue like that.
I see. You actually clip them. Oh, you do. Well, that's probably why you do a better paint job on your tank crew than me. I was painting some British tank crew, and I left them all on the whole sprue. I just clipped them off at the heads, but left all 6 tank crew on the sprue.
Like that. Yeah.
There's one
again, less parts to hold. With one thing. So.
Extra West German crew I painted last time. I was painting some West Germans, so I've got a spare one for next time I need a commander.
Yep.
Yeah, I tend to do the same thing. I mean, I've got only need 5 or 6 tank commanders for my army at the moment, but I'm just painting 12 because I know I'm going to need more.
Halo fan just asked about painting infantry. Do you paint them platoon by platoon or try and knock out an entire company in one go? So
Wayne scoffs at the entire company option.
So
I don't even paint a whole platoon. I paint them by sections.
I usually paint
sections.
Yeah, so like 2 teams.
Yep.
2 or 3 teams. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll do a kind of a hybrid. I go through and I'll go through and prep and airbrush the units onto an entire company at a time, but then I'll just split it down into 8 or 10 dudes at a time.
I've never actually painted an infantry company before. Painted platoons, and when I did, I painted the whole platoon. But my armored rifles have started. That'll be the first time I'm going to try do the whole company in one go. I might paint them all and then base a platoon first, so I can get them on the table. But I'm planning to paint the whole infantry company in one go.
So I'm just going to say something you usually say to me. Victor, is those are rookie numbers.
I know. I like painting single platoons to support a tank company. Is usually what I've. But armored rifle companies too good. Yeah.
It's like I'm painting a World War I French platoon. I've painted 4 rifle teams so far. Now I've got 2 MG teams and a command team to paint. And then I've got 2 rifle grenade teams to paint. So it's just, but I'm just doing them into lumps. And it's and also I don't always paint one unit all in one go. I might paint some of it and do something else and come back to it. So it's kind of just to make up a variety of painting to do. Focusing.
Well, we've got a serious question coming in. Chris Potter's takeaway pizza has just arrived. What's the Big Four's favourite toppings whilst gaming? Chris?
We don't even have takeaways at the moment.
We can't get takeaway pizza.
Yeah. Favourite topping? It's easy. It's pepperoni. We have a pizza chain in New Zealand, which is divisive. It's called Sal's Pizza. They make New York pizza, which is nice, thin, crisp base. I think it's really nice. But their pepperoni pizza, extra cheese, some extra chili flakes on top. So good.
Yeah, I prefer whole pizza.
Hell pizza's great too, but we don't have one close to the office at work. I don't think. It's probably good that we don't.
Nah.
Well, we got a sales close to the office, and that's not good for you.
No.
Well, follow-up question: does anyone like pineapple on pizza? And
No.
if you do, you're wrong.
But I have to have pineapple pizzas because my kids will only eat pizza with pineapple.
Well, you don't have to eat it.
Just give them some pineapple.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
There's a tin of pineapple. Enjoy.
The pizza is a convincing vessel to get it in the.
No, because my kids are really picky and they won't eat just pineapple. It has to be on the pizza.
Oh, jeez. Now, a good thin crust Hawaiian pizza. It's so unfair. So, as part of this lockdown for the last month, no takeaways in New Zealand. And New Zealand is a country of husky fellas. We all enjoy McDonald's and KFC and pizza and all that sort of stuff a little too much. So, yeah, we're all hankering for when does it end? Sunday night or Monday night?
Monday night.
So at 11:59, I think McDonald's has said they're going to open. So they're going to open the minute that they can, and I expect you're going to see hour drive-through queues. They are going to be insane.
No, it's 5 a.m. It's 5 a.m. on the Tuesday. Yeah.
See, Casey knows. He's already preparing for his kids. He's going to duck out. He's going to grab them hotcakes, hash browns. Yep.
No. Judging by the half-hour wait in the line before lock, we're going to wait for a week or so.
I say that I'm going to wait, and then I'm going to sneak out.
I'll give it a couple days.
Yeah, I will too.
Fish and chips is what I miss, but not so
I don't think they'll open.
Yeah.
See, the thing is to convince your wife saying, I'm just going to go out quick trip to the supermarket and instead go to McDonald's and scoff 3 Big Macs in the car park.
Yeah. The drive-through queue will probably be a similar time to doing a full supermarket shop anyway.
Yeah. Terrible segue because it's so not related to anything hobby, but there's a competitive eater called Matt Stoney. If you want to be grossed out watching someone consume way too much food, go check out his YouTube channel. There won't be a link in the description. There was a Twitter challenge going around to eat, 4 double quarter pounders, 2 large fries, 30 nuggets, and 4 cups of Coke, 4 glasses of Coke. And you had to do it in 90 minutes. He did it in just under 9 minutes. He said the hardest part was the 2 large and 2 medium Cokes, because that was a lot of liquid to put in your body. But it was something
I'd say the hardest part would be the next day.
Well, it's his job, so, he can handle it, I guess. But, yeah, I think it was, did he say it was 3 pounds? So that's it's only like 1.5 litres, I think, I'm not sure, of Coke. So that actually doesn't sound that bad to me, but the 4 burgers and the 30 nuggets actually sounded pretty hard. But
somebody asked a serious question.
Whoa.
Yeah, painting infantry on or off the bases, and do you make the bases before or after painting the infantry?
I paint them off. So I glue each individual figure to a little piece of cardboard to hang on to. And I just find it easier than actually gluing a team up and then trying to get at all the angles while it's on a large base.
Yeah, I recently been painting either hard plastic or soft plastic infantry, so I've been leaving them on the sprue and painting them that way, then glue them to the base and then do all the base work.
I used to glue them on to the base, working on the theory that if you couldn't get your brush somewhere, then you probably couldn't see it, so it didn't really matter. And a bit like Victor's theory, if you put all the figures on the base, then you've only got one thing to worry about. I've since changed to painting on the sprue or painting on a popsicle stick. So I'll sit down with my figures, I will work out what my teams are, what figures are going on what base, then glue them onto a popsicle stick. So That way I already know
So
that
so
these
one
four...
popsicle stick is a team.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or like in the case of a Milan team or something like that, I might glue, 2 sets of Milan teams to a popsicle stick. But
I tried on the stick thing, but I still didn't like that because it didn't. It's still, they got in the way of each other. So I just like the one figure on a piece of cardboard that I can
Yeah.
get a full 360-degree rotation.
I do find when you get to the end of the stick, so
Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's if I do it as well.
I do find that, say, if this is random, this is the popsicle stick. Say you're holding it, it's easy to paint the figure that's there. You've got that nice contact point, but then you start painting the figure that's down here, and it suddenly gets a bit difficult. And you're trying to do something wonky or janky like this. It's just, yeah. Evan, our sculptor in Palmerston North, says he uses flathead nails with some blue tack and a block of wood. I've done that as well. I like that.
That's very Evan as well.
It is very Evan.
I do that for like small turrets. That's why I have them. I've got like a block of wood with a bunch of holes in it and some flathead nails.
Yep.
And I'll glue like tiny turrets, like armored car turrets or whatever, on top, or blue tack them on.
Yep.
It's just easier to hold than my normal method, which is like attach it to an old paint bottle. Yeah.
Yep. What's this? Lundlud? I found the best handle to be champagne and wine corks. Seems legit.
Mm-hmm.
My wife has enough wine bottles passing through the house that I could start a collection.
Yeah,
A lot of sculptors use corks. Like when I was having a go at sculpting after reading someone's thing, don't look at this terrible figure. But you'll stick it to a piece of cork. So your wire that you're using for your armature goes into the cork. So a lot of sculptors will use corks to sculpt, especially 28mm figures.
Yep.
Apparently
I think this is a...
mail order Santa.
Oh, yeah. This is quite a cool question. If you had the option, what other conflicts would you each like to visit? I'm sure Wayne's got some ideas there.
Are we talking kind of along the same lines as Spain's War? So it's kind of
Yeah, we'll stay within World War II for now. I think. I know we've all got other historical interests.
20th century or 21st century. I mean, we've done World War One. I don't know. Some of that post World War Two immediately. So like kind of 50s would be quite interesting to do. So even like Korean War or something. But yeah, I think Pete's already announced that we would talk about Checkpoint Charlie, which is of course earlier Cold War, so 70s basically, 70s, late 60s, 70s. So we're looking at that. It'd be quite cool to do like now, like a what if.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I would.
Real modern stuff. Yeah.
Ultra modern, or
some...
even 2 years, 5 years in the future. Go ultra modern.
Yeah. I would love for us to do a model of the T-14 Armata, an army of those, because they just look cool.
They're so massive. I couldn't believe how big I mean, considering it's a Russian tank and how big Russian tanks normally are, it's just so huge, and it's only a 2-man tank.
Yeah, but it looks cool. It looks modern, and it's the first real third-generation MBT.
Yep.
It'll be interesting with tech advantage. King Dan says lasers.
Lasers. I don't have an answer for that question because I've already got mine.
Yeah, you pushed hard for the Arab-Israeli war.
Yeah, Fate of a Nation, Arab-Israeli. That was my bag. That was the one that I nagged, pleaded, begged, pushed. Other words that mean the same thing. That was my one. So I've got that. Although I am looking forward to Checkpoint Charlie because that will give us an opportunity to push for things like plastic Centurions and stuff like that. So that would be cool.
Yeah, likewise, I was quite interested in the Arab-Israeli war, painted up some Egyptians for that. But I usually just go with the flow.
I like because my other interests outside 20th century are kind of weird and obscure. So
Yeah.
Things
Kind
like
of.
the Great Northern War and the Franco-Prussian War and the Crimean War. And
That's all cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, branching outside of sort of 20th century wargaming. I mean, I'm all over sort of medieval period. I like some knights on horses and stuff.
Look at the drawer of medieval figures just here.
What don't you have a drawer of? Wayne?
Hey, this is topical. Here's a plague cart. Bring out your dead.
Oh, slightly cringy.
Slightly.
Hi, meet Wayne.
And this is a tame conversation.
Hudson D974. In fact, I may have insisted we do mid-war desert in the local group so we could later do a Fate of a Nation battle on the tables.
That's
I
good.
like that style. That's the kind of long-range planning that I think.
That's good planning, yeah.
Gaming groups need someone that's prepared to instigate stuff like that. You know, the whole, well, we've built the table, we've built the terrain. You know what'd be fun to do some desert gaming? And, but Arab Israeli, go on. Yeah, every group needs that guy.
Yeah, well, I want to build some more terrain.
Yeah,
we need to finish some terrain projects actually.
Yeah, like I've got all my Battlefield in a box, forest and stuff. I need to actually get the flat bits out and actually make them look pretty, as opposed to just being plain brown that they still are as they come out of the box.
Yep. That is my Christmas goal every year. So every Christmas I think to myself, and this has been the goal for maybe the last
As long as
7,
I've known you.
8 years, yeah, I don't know, longer, is I've got a bunch of Battlefield in a box stuff, you know, hills and forests and stuff like that. I mean, it looks good as it is, but it's really easy to make it look a little bit better just with a bit of flock and quick dry brush or whatever. I did up some hills as a test, and they took, you know, I don't know, half an hour spread over the course of 3 days, just letting glue dry and stuff like that. I really want to, this Christmas, probably won't happen, pull it all out and just set up an assembly line. You know, convince my wife to go off and see her mother, take the kids with her.
Send your wife away to see her mother.
Yep. Well, that way I can have the garage to myself. Like, I don't normally hobby in here. I normally go out to a cold steel garage. Then I can put some tables up and I can just make an assembly. Yeah, like Casey. I can set some tables up and do an assembly line. You know, you have all the terrain there, then you've got your PVA section, so you can put some PVA on, so you can put some flock on, then you put more PVA on the next bit of flock, and just lay it all out and go to town. It's a great plan, and I know that I'm not going to get around to it in the next couple of years. It just annoys me every Christmas that I think this will be the Christmas, and it never is.
This last Christmas, what you were painting? You painting Big Four stuff or checks?
Both
Yes, both, I think.
Both, yeah.
I was painting
Because
some
you're going to
Big
that
Four.
tournament with the checks. Yeah.
Yeah, I was painting Big Four stuff, and then I sort of realised how little time I had before the tournament in Wellington, and how many models I had to paint, and I think I might have had a wee panic attack. I talk with the guys a lot about burning brownie points, and that's, you know, when you annoy your wife so much because you're not around, you're just out in the garage, you're not doing as much stuff as you should with the kids or whatever. And that January, that was bad.
I thought in order to burn brownie points, you actually had to have some to start with, Chris.
I occasionally get some. I occasionally get into positives before I go and do something stupid and go back into the negatives. But it is only occasional.
Because how many models Czech army?
The Czechs. So the army is currently painted 16 T55s, 10 T72s, 8 SA9, the light SAMs, 4 SA13s.
The ones on the BRDM2
Yeah.
poles.
I think it's either 4 or 8 BRDM2s. It's like 15 OT64s with a pile of infantry, although those are my generic, use them as anything Soviet infantry now. 6 issue 25s. I feel like there's some other bits and pieces that are spandrels, Unit of 3 spandrels. So it's a lot.
How many points was that?
Oh, it's I don't know, 120, 100 and something points. It's not that many points.
It's like your peers army of 140 points you went to, and you had 35 in case he had 105.
Yeah, and I still had like
Was
twice
that
the
even
number of
legal?
models.
Yeah, no.
That's right, because they didn't have the normal. You had to have this much each. They just
Yeah.
went with flat. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I painted the T-55s and some of the infantry for, I think. Yeah.
I think at one point, Chris said, I'm not taking all 70 points because I'm taking checks and I don't want to pay them.
Yeah. It's funny, I've always loved the idea of big armies. I remember way back in the V1 days, there was a guy here that worked for Battlefront at the time who had a massive Soviet infantry army, and playing against it was just such a tough force. Just so many guys, you can't shoot them all. They eventually get to you and beat you around the side of the head.
Who was that? What?
What's
You played against Soviets?
Playing against Soviets, yeah.
Was that Dale?
No, Rex.
Oh, Rex.
And so it was just a really good army, and it was one of those ones where it's both daunting and inspiring. It was inspiring that he'd achieved it and painted this massive army, so I always wanted to do it. But painting is not this aspect of the hobby I enjoy the most.
Well,
So
the first
it
time
was, it was hard for me to kind of even get started. But recently, as I've sort of gotten painting more often, painting a big horde like the Czechs has been quite achievable for me. But I still wouldn't want to paint a large Russian infantry force. I think that's still beyond.
I painted a one full strength company, but I don't know. I've got figures to do a second company, but I just haven't got around to it.
Yep.
So starting yet.
Well, the first time I met you properly, Chris, was when you came into the studio to do a battle report.
That's right.
I played a battle report against you, and you had your Stalingrad German.
My Stalingrad Germans. Good memory.
And I thought, that's cool. Here, take on 3 full companies of Soviet infantry.
I know.
Sorted rubbish.
It was a bit brutal.
I think you won that one in the end, but I didn't have a lot left, and neither did you.
Yeah, no one walked away from that one feeling like it was an easy game.
Sorry. NZJW Lee just posted, is the BRDM2 family vehicles going to be in the Soviet release? The answer is yes. They're going to be in the army deal.
Yep. And that can build, which options can that build?
They build the SA-9, the missile
Spandrel with the 85.
Yeah, the Spandrel and the BRDM2. So it does all 3 vehicles.
Yeah, it's a cool little kit.
This is one for you, Chris. Fate of a Nation forces.
Yes, definitely, absolutely, 100% guarantee it. It is just a time issue. The moment now should be a good time. I should actually check with Greg. Maybe he's had a bit of time to sort of get ahead on some things, but the only reason it hasn't come out before now is time. The version 3 and Team Yankee books have been taking precedence, but Vietnam's up there, and Fate of a Nation will go up, and so will
Yeah, I mean, I think, we all want to do everything, but time is our issue.
Time is the enemy. Except in the June universe, when, what is it, Casey? What's the enemy? No?
Pass.
Oh, didn't you?
Pass is the enemy.
Pass. If fear is the mind killer, it's different.
Oh,
right?
Fear is the mind killer, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Get it right, Chris. You can't get obscure reference when the obscure reference is wrong.
Well, I can't I can barely get non-obscure references right at the moment. The brain's getting a bit old and slow. It's starting to match my running speed. Alright.
Yeah, the other hard thing at the moment in New Zealand is none of the hobby shops are open. They're not even open for mail order because the mail order people are only allowed to send you essential stuff. So if you want to paint, you can't even buy
You
one.
can't get paint at the moment.
And I also miss, like, we could say I'd be like at home and I'll run out something just to finish a project, and I'll text Chris Casey away and say, hey, if any of you got a spare bottle of this, I just need a little bit more, and they'll bring it to the office. I can take it home that evening. Can't even swap resources at the moment.
Yeah.
Tricky.
Yeah, we're having conversation and say, oh, you guys got this? And say, yeah, I got it right here. Hold it up.
But you can't have it.
You can't have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ordered a bottle of Nuln oil just before the lockdown, but unfortunately it didn't make it to me. So yeah, that's put a few projects on hold.
Did you get it sent to work?
No, I had it sent to home, but I think the website said it was in stock, but maybe it wasn't. I'm not sure. So
yeah, I've been nursing my last few brushes because I don't want them to die while you can't get any more.
Luckily, I have a backlog of brushes, so I'm fine.
I like this question. How do you folks manage to not start yet another army with each new book? The short answer is we don't manage that.
I don't. I have.
I have a pile of challenges sitting up here that I grabbed when the British Short of 3 book came out. I don't need anything else for it. I've just got a pile of challenges.
I think the interesting thing about working in the office is that we're working slightly ahead of everyone else. So, we're getting excited about a project, 2 or 3 months before the rest of the world even sees it. So by the time the world's getting excited about, say, British, we're already. And there's just so much coming out that I think we've all learned to rationalise that we can't actually do everything.
Casey's soft, he needs to paint more.
Yeah, we haven't learned that. Casey might have, but
so if you're noticing in the Twitch stream that Wayne's picture moved and there were some odd things just happening, I was trying to just move Wayne a little bit further into the centre when he's leaning over. So if you notice anything,
I'm trying to avoid having the light in the picture because it kind of makes the. Yeah. That's why I turned off my lounge lights because there was one behind my head that was.
We don't really have a particularly pro setup for this in our homes. I know we've said that before, but it's it's not the best. But like I said on the front page of the website before the stream with Peter, it's strange. We're missing. We don't get to speak to a lot of you guys directly. I mean, we're in the studio in New Zealand, so we're kind of in the middle of nowhere. But we do hear stuff. We're lucky. We've got a really good sales team that go to a lot of conventions. They talk to a lot of people. They go to tournaments. You got people like Chad in the US, Gareth in the UK. These guys are active in the whole scene. So we do hear a lot back. And right now we're not hearing anything. We don't get any of that sort of chat. Facebook helps, but we don't get as much communication. We're hobby geeks. This is our hobby. It's your hobby. We love the hobby. We like sitting down and talking crap with you guys. This is about as close as we can do at the moment to try and get some of that two-way feedback. Hopefully telling you guys some stuff, and hopefully, you guys being part of the team as well while we all go through this. So, we wanted it. We didn't care if it's not perfect. We wanted it to be good enough, and for everyone to actually be able to come along and join us. And hopefully, if you guys don't think that we're dull and boring, and hopefully if the boss doesn't say, "Oh, you told them a bit much," I know, which is a possibility. Then we'll be back to do some more over the next few weeks, I hope.
Luckily, I think we haven't given away any more than Pete gave away in his Twitch last week.
Oh, there is that. Hopefully Pete doesn't hear this one specific thing. He can be quite oversharey. So make sure if ever he's on a stream, make sure you ask him lots of questions, because he'll tell you most of the answers.
Yeah.
I mean, he can't get in trouble. We can.
Yeah, no secret safe with him.
Yep.
Yeah, I did see a question asking for the stats for the Leopard 2A5, which I avoided because I'm not sure if that's too early.
Yeah, that one is. It's going to be good. I mean, the Leopard 2 is arguably the best tank in the game currently.
It's still in playtesting, so it might change.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, arguably, the Leopard 2 is, depending on what your kind of personal preference is, the best tank in the game. It can only get better. But that does remind me, actually, I did see a discussion on Facebook about, it's a little bit about introducing a late war for Team Yankee. Just because of things like the Abrams HC coming out, the T-80 and stuff like that. Just as a way to make those tanks, I guess, more affordable in 100 points. And I think my answer to that suggestion, and you guys might have different answers, but my answer was kind of wishy-washy a little bit. There is no plan at the moment in Battlefront for a late war, but what we've been talking about, so we actually had this discussion about a year ago. We were on the way back from Palmerston North after the Team Yankee doubles tournament down there. One of the things we all agreed we wanted to do was build some 150 to 200 point Team Yankee armies where we make sure we only use ultra modern for Team Yankee stuff. So we'd only be using M1A1s or HCs, Challengers or Chieftains with Steel Brew, that sort of thing, T-80s, Leopard 2s,
T-64s are fine.
T-64s, KCX T-64s.
But, no T-62s, no T-55s.
Yeah.
No Leopard 1s, no. Yeah.
So what we'd do is we'd be self-policing, pick the most modern stuff, first line stuff, and build bigger forces. So building 150 point, 200 point forces. So that gave us the effect of having a late war period, just with a bit of self-policing, I guess, a bit of group discussion.
Leave your checks in the box.
Leave the checks in the box, yeah. Because I guess, I mean, what kind of started is we knew where we were heading with Team Yankee, and I guess like a lot of people, I wanted to build a Desert Storm armoured cav force. And to build it at full strength, which is what I'd like to paint, just required more than 100 points. And that was why I was keen on it. And I know there'd been a bit of talk with the other guys about army lists that they wanted to do, and they kind of just fitted into that whole narrative.
So this may turn into the big four of late war.
Well, I think a little segue would be fun. We do, a bit like this. We just do a project, maybe not quite as massive. But that would be cool.
Chris, someone's corrected you that the Macabre is the best tank in the game. I
agree.
Yeah, but
the Macabre has one drawback, is that it doesn't. That's the only one we have. Macabre 2 is still only the 105 version.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
you got a Macabre 3.
Yeah. But Macabre 2 literally can't penetrate any of these modern tanks from at all.
Yeah, I don't know.
Shush.
I still think it's still awesome.
I often think it'd be quite cool to do. We never got into the idea of command cards for World War III, Team Yankee, and it would be some of the ideas I had for that sort of thing would have been. You could have had like buy depleted uranium round, increasing your anti-tank by +1.
Yep.
Or how many points? Obviously, Americans can't have it because they've already got it. But,
the Israelis get an emergency shipment.
Gives the Israelis and the West Germans and the British a chance to have.
Yep. It's one of the fun things about fantasy.
I'm not quite sure what else would be in the command cards. Here's your command card packets. 2 cards.
Oops. I have this sudden fear that I've glued something. No, I have not glued something wrong. Oh, luxury.
Something you often say to yourself, Chris.
Oh, I tell you, when I was building the Churchills, I was building. I'd already painted the crocodiles. I was painting my Churchills, my aviaries, all at one go. And each one of my Churchill platoons has a Churchill late, a Churchill with a 6-pounder, and a Churchill with a 75. And I can't tell Churchills apart. I don't. Before this, I hadn't built any. I don't really. I'm not.
It's got round edges on the side.
Sure.
Thanks, Wayne.
5's got a muzzle brake on it.
There you go. So I sat there with the assembly guide, which is pretty good actually for that, and I built them all. Then I put them on my desk and I went, okay, that's a turret for that, that's a hull turret. And then I looked at them and went, oh crap, I've built some of these wrong. I've put the wrong hatch on or whatever. The wrong stowage bin, I think it was actually. And so I ended up popping them all off. And then I looked at the assembly guide again and went, no, that was the right one. So then had to clean the glue off my turret bins and then re-glue them all back on again. And it was just a lesson that what I should have done.
I did find that the one I glued together, I did find the turret bins a bit confusing.
I did too. I think it's just maybe the angle of the assembly guide or something. But
Because what is there? There's one for the Mark III, Mark IV, and the Mark VII. I think they're all the same stowage bin, I think.
I don't even remember.
And then there's one for the or is the Mark VII one different? See, that's the trouble. I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
See,
So I made mistakes and got confused and then got unconfused. But it told me that next time I do assembly line process like that, when you're assembling 4 different marks of tanks, that even though they're all Churchill somethings, what I should have done was assembled 3 lates, start to finish, 375 mils start to finish, 2 aviaries and then 3 6-pounders, and that would have left less room for me to get confused halfway through the process.
Luckily for me, whenever I've got to deal with Churchills, it's for photography. I just get one, take it out, and say, "Phil, what's this?"
Evan
You can
says
just rattle it off.
Evan says there is a bin for the Mark 7 and another bin for the rest. There you go.
But isn't there a bin for the Mark 1 if you've got the...
Because you had a couple of frames for that, didn't you? You were sort of...
Yeah, I was just using leftover frames that Aaron had on his desk.
Yeah.
I was making what Churchill I could make out of the leftover frames.
So you were
Ended up
adding complexity
Mark
by
III, I
taking
think.
this frame and this frame that were similar but different and trying to make one thing. Path of most resistance, Wayne to the rescue. All right, so
I don't like waste.
So,
Throwing away bits of plastic. It hurts my soul.
well, there you go. Stony 997. I was saying, what are the worst modelling errors you have done? This sounds like another one for you, Chris.
Yeah, that's a Chris question.
I
I've
would,
got a kind of one.
Yep.
It's model related. But back when we first did Hungarians many years ago, I did a bit of research into the decals and gave all the information, I think, probably to Casey to do. It turns out I got the colours around the wrong way on the cross. Our first batch of decals had red crosses with green outside triangle bits on the Balkan style cross,
Yep.
when it should have had a green cross with red outside bits. We corrected that on the second time we made decals.
I get often reminded by Rob, who's our information systems manager, that I initially glued the missile launcher bins on my West German Roland's up
upside
instead of down,
yeah.
or down instead of up. I can't remember which way around.
They were upside down.
Yeah, they're around the wrong way.
Yeah.
I don't think I've made many that I haven't picked up on and then fixed. It is one of the few things about a resin and metal model I prefer, is that as long as you just applied a bit of force, you could normally pull it apart. A plastic model, you've got to be a little more on the ball if you need to fix something you've mucked up. Casey wasn't a modelling one. His was a photography one, since he decided to throw me under the bus, which that's what Casey does, by the way. If you remember what was it Hell's Highway or the Market Garden compilations? I can't remember. It was probably in both. There are some Daimlers or Humbers going the wrong way down a road. So their turrets are going the right way and the hulls are going the wrong way.
Oh no, they're just retreating.
Yeah, they are Ricky. They spend most of their time withdrawing away from things.
Don't back him up. He knows he did it wrong.
So when you say, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Deflect!
Halkamoli. We sorted the Mannerheim cross that was just coming back from proofing, so that the cover's been fixed for the Finnish cross, Mannerheim cross.
Yep. Google failed me there. If you search it on Google, there's a few upside down on Google. And I'm not a Finnish metal expert.
No,
I am now.
Let's see. I spotted a question which I now can't find.
I like this one. Do we play any games outside of the ones we make? And yeah, we do. We play a lot of stuff. Or we would all like to play more than we do. But when we get time, we like to play a bit of everything. I think it helps us seeing what else is out there, give other inspiration. It's like movies. You don't just watch one genre.
Is there a genre other than Star Wars?
Yes, Marvel. Marvel's the other genre.
There we go.
There are two genres.
Mm.
I just neither of those are genres.
And I'm including John Wick in that because he's cognitive stuff.
Yeah. John Wick, the third genre.
I'm just going to fold that into superhero movies.
Yeah, I think that's a legit call. I had to Google Schwer. Well, I didn't have to Google Schwer Panzerjäger. I had to Google who Carol Baskin is because.
Oh yeah.
Oh, have you not watched The Tiger King?
No, I have not.
I refuse to.
Wayne, you're the only Big Four that has, I think.
Oh, but
it's such a glorious train wreck of a television program.
Well, to be fair, Wayne is the person that is likely to watch the worst TV and weirdest TV.
I don't know. We probably represent the only three human beings or adults on this planet with Netflix that have not seen it.
I refuse to watch it.
I've seen enough memes that I think I know what happened. Kind of picked it up through the other people.
Yep.
I don't need to watch it.
I don't think I need that turret. Whoops. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I think at the moment our Netflix is burning hard with PJ Masks, which is a cartoon about three kids that at night put on their pajamas and go out and solve crimes. What else? A bit of How to Train Your Dragon, and that whole franchise, and something else that my youngest boy's been watching a lot of. That's not coming to mind right now. But
Peppa Pig?
No. Oh god, no. The Deep. It's about a submarine going around in a futuristic world, and that's on heavy rotation. No, Marsha and the Bear, but both of my boys enjoyed that when they were younger.
What was that terrible science fiction show? It was like that about a submarine used to travel around under the...
Take that back. That was awesome.
It was terrible.
DSV or something like that. Sequest DSV.
Yes. It's like a science fiction program without actually being very science fiction.
It was awesome. It had a dolphin and other stuff.
Had a talking dolphin in it.
I was scrolling through Netflix last night, not finding anything to watch, and it came across a thing of top 10 in New Zealand this, and I think 7 of them were kids' movies.
Yep.
Surprise!
It's funny how Netflix do that top 10 thing.
I've just noticed, and it is kind of thanks to Hudson D974. He says, it's getting rather late here. I'll be taking my leave soon. My last question would be, what's the next French project? Any guesstimate on the year, please? Are we talking Team Yankee or Flames of War? I mean,
Well, what's the next one?
The next French project?
I don't know. Might even be the early war French.
Someone's asking for a Leclerc. I'm in for a Leclerc. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm good at that.
Yeah, we'll all like that.
Oh yeah, he says Team Yankee or Flames of War. So I guess either's good. I don't know actually. It's more likely to be early war than Team Yankee at a guess. And that's purely me taking a guess. From my perspective, I know my next French project will be my AMX. What are the AMX 30 artillery called? I've just forgotten the name. Do you remember, Wayne?
Can't remember off the top of my head.
That doesn't sound very French, but
My
I can't remember.
exactly.
We've just lost all our French.
No,
Sorry.
There we go. AMX AUF1. So I have 3 of those plus a VAB as a OP to do, and then I have 2 or 4 teams of infantry to paint. I've admitted this before. I did the ID board, so I worked out what the contents of that blister were, and then when I was painting them, forgot that it represented an AMX infantry platoon, not a VAB infantry platoon. So I thought that I'd painted the whole thing, and I hadn't. So it's some artillery and 4 teams of infantry, I think.
Even I'm going to get on the French train when the World War III Americans come out. I'm going to do a Gulf War American list, but I'm going to do some AMX 10 RCs to go with them, because they just look super cool.
They are super cool.
I think Hudson is French, so my apologies. I won't do that again.
All right, so what that was segueing me to is it's almost 10 a.m. New Zealand time, so we'll be getting late for a lot of you guys. And that means we've been going for about 90 minutes, which we were surprised that we managed to hopefully entertain you for that long.
And Peter, we're saying, get back to work.
Well, I've got daily deals to sort out. I've got to get those up on the website and priced up in our database system. So that's my next job to do shortly. So what we might wind this up here, but if you are on the chat and you did enjoy it, or if you're now watching this later on YouTube and thought it was fun, please make sure you say something on Facebook or somewhere like that. Just let us know.
We'll put an Instagram post up after this and go there, put any comments in there, or whether you liked it and if the time works and all that stuff. Just give us any feedback you like. We've enjoyed it, I think.
Yeah. I think we'll definitely plan to do some more of these.
Yeah. That's the other thing. The time and the day. The day kind of works for us. The time kind of works for us. But we're flexible. We're not going anywhere at the moment. This means that I had a shave this morning and I've got pants on. Probably didn't want to know that, but it's a reason to actually do stuff. So yeah, we'll be keen to do it if you guys are keen to come along and listen and watch it. So
I didn't bother shaving for you this morning.
Well,
I did see Evan said you'd make a good mall Santa. That's good.
I was asked to be the Santa at my kids'
enough
daycare
white
2
there
years
now.
ago. All right, so
Cool.
We'll wind this down. Thank you for coming along once again, guys, and stay tuned to Instagram and Facebook, and if we can convince the boss to let us have some work time to do this again, which we will, we'll be back.
So you're saying same time next week, Battlefront managers?
Maybe. We'll give you a
Quite likely.
We'll give you a Battlefront soon. How's that?
Soon.
Soon.
Soon TM.
It doesn't have a good reputation. Battlefront soon.